Alright, everyone. Hi, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Expanse Reaction. This is Road Live. My name is Matt. So, last week I left you on a cliffhanger. I'm recording this way ahead of time from when it's gonna be released because people told me to. So now we're watching episode 5 of season 2, and to my understanding, this is the final episode that would represent the adaptation of the first novel. Maybe it could be the next one. I don't actually remember that well, but I think it's this one. I think this is a finale two-parter for that whole novel story thing. So, yeah, like let's talk about last episode. So last episode, some shit happened, but at the same time, it was like a first border. Like that was the most first border ever that it's ever been. But okay, so Miller laid out the plan to Fred Johnson to ram the Nauvoo into the Eros station and knock it with control explosives on the surface into the sun. That's the only way we can get rid of the Protomolecule and whatever the fuck is going down in Eros station. So that was the plan. And we saw the execution of said plan here, where Miller went down as part of the detonation team. Not detonation team. Demolitions team. They were doing detonation. That's the same shit. Alongside Diogo and a bunch of other people, right? But we get to see them setting up bombs, setting up explosives, while Holden and the Rossi crew were covering the whole operation because they're like the only gunship they have. So they were covering, and it is lucky they were there because they found another ship. I forgot the name of the ship, but it was. I jokingly said it was Medicine Sans Frontier, but then I thought about it, and it's like, oh yeah, that dude's French, so it might as well have been future Medicine Sans Frontier. So that happened, but one of the doctors, humanitarians, then went into our station because they actually did get into the station, even though they say they couldn't, and one of them got infected and died, and the remaining people went back to the ship, and they were gonna get out, they were gonna leave, but then when we realized that they actually went inside, we had to say, hey, you need to stay because you might be infected. At which point, they said, fuck you, you Martian piece of shit. You are creating a biological weapon and testing it on Belters. It is our duty to get out of this shit and go tell the world. The solar system, I guess. So they didn't believe Holden when he said it wasn't Martian because he also played into the role previously, so it's like, well, shit. And they had to get blown up. So when they get blown up, debris from the explosion hits the operation Miller and Yoga were doing, and it hits Miller's suit so that he loses a ton of air. He patches it, but he lost air at that point, and it hits the bomb that they were carrying, the final bomb, and it messes up with the control panel to a point where the only thing they can do is to manually hold down the button until you want it to explode, and then you can let go of it. And yeah, essentially, like you can't detonate it anymore remotely. It has to be done manually. At which point Miller says, "All right, I'm just gonna get my hero death. I'm just gonna hold the button. Yo, you get the fuck out of here. Go and get laid." So he does that, and the episode ends with Miller just accepting his fate of being rammed with the with the Nabu, But when the Naboo gets closer, we realize that the Naboo just goes over Eros Station, and Miller goes like, how did it miss? How did the Naboo change course? And then the Rosie looks at their like computer shed, and they see that the Naboo didn't change course. Eros Station did. Like, it was moving in like this orbit, but then when the Naboo was getting close, they did like this shit and just like dodge it, just like whoop. So, the end of the episode, I think it's pretty clear that Eros Station is under control of the Protomolecule, and the Protomolecule is not only like sentient, it is also smart enough to be able to identify what's going down and able to use, like, I think you can change the course with computers. Like that would be my number one question right now. Is if it's like the Protomolecule change course of Eros Station by computers. Like you can change the trajectory of it. Like maybe the asteroid itself has like thrusters or whatever that you can use in order to pilot the asteroid as like a mobile fortress, or it raw strength change the trajectory. I don't know how, but we're dealing with something we don't understand. So I don't know how that would I don't know how that would work. So that would be my main question moving into this, because I am pretty sure that the Protomolecule is what moved the station. So yeah, the episode ends with Rosie just looking at that, being like, "What the fuck?" Miller looking at that like, "What the fuck? I'm also holding a bomb. I have 10 minutes of air. What the fuck do we do?" And that was a cliffhanger. That was a pretty good cliffhanger. Also, on the Christian side of things, on Earth, she had the balls to accuse Protogen and Jules Piermao of creating the stealth ships or whatever, because she was able to find one of the stealth ships that Fred Johnson gave her the information for, and she linked that to Protogen and Jules Piermao, and then she started making a move on them, which was pretty cool, because she knows that Jules Piermao and Aaron Wright are in bed together. And then she's like, "I don't give a shit. I'm gonna make this meeting between the three of us, and I'm gonna point fingers." And and then we had a conversation between Aaron Wright and Jules Piermao, where Jules Piermao is like, she knows, and Aaron Wright is like, she doesn't know. She's just doing this shit. She always does this shit. Don't worry about her. I got her under control. At that point, Jules Piermao goes, "Fuck you, you don't. You're stupid, and I'm gonna look into better alternatives for allies." So that was said. We don't know what that means, but that was said. But yeah, that is all we know. I think that is a pretty good recap of the previous episode. Yeah, I think we can finally move into episode 5. I feel like a lot of people are gonna be excited about this one. Yeah, because this is the proper finale. Like, previous finale wasn't the finale. This is proper finale, even though it's mid-season, because it's the end of the first book. So I'm looking forward to it. People have also been looking forward to it. Like, they have said it. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, so The Expanse season 2 episode 5. Let's go.
Maybe now is a good time to get off this rock.
Miller, you're moving.
I mean, Eros is moving. Fast.
What's happening here?
I got some crackpot report.
Eros.
Oh yeah, they see it.
If Eros stopped rotating that quick, I'd be dead as a bug on a windshield.
Okay, so we've
Really?
got a few laws of physics here.
It's just moving so
Its
fast.
temperature's gone up 2 degrees.
Yeah, it's putting out
Around 10 exajoules.
Yeah.
That's the energy of a 2 gigaton bomb.
Okay.
If Eros isn't spinning anymore, how can I still have gravity?
Dresden said the protomolecule would break all the rules.
Yeah, he also said that stuff, it's not from around here. So
Yes.
who the heck are we to say what it's capable of?
Exactly. We don't know the rules.
We're working on a contingency.
Okay, good. Because for a second there, I thought maybe we lost control of the situation.
It's now on a direct collision course with Earth.
Okay, that's bad. I feel like at this point, Fred Johnson can make a transmission that is just like, okay, so here's what's up. There's this alien goose shit that came out of the solar system. He can say the Protogen shit or not. He can choose to avoid that, but he can just say, this shit's gonna happen. That's what happened at Earth Station. We don't know anything about it. We've been trying to decipher what the fuck was about. And yes, we did try to use Tinavu to ram it into it and kill it by pushing it into the sun. Because we know that shit is terrible and bad. So, that's what happened. Because at this point, Eros is defying the laws of physics. So, what are you gonna do, Aaron, right? Are you gonna throw Jupiter Mao under the bus? I feel like at this point you have to. But then he falls with them, right?
That's the sea crystal that creepy guy was talking about. That's the engine that's moving Eros.
I have a terrible idea. If Miller can get in there close with that warhead, he could kill it. Stop Eros in its tracks.
Oh my god.
Eros just dodged in the boo with a shrug. What's he gonna do when he crawls inside there with a nuke?
There's only one way to find out.
What do you think, Miller?
Crawl in there and blow up the thing that ate Julie.
Wow.
I think it's the best bad idea I've heard all day.
That is an idea of fitting Miller. He's like the only person that would be on board with that shit. It's a suicide mission. It's the most badass suicide mission ever.
Latest projection, 7 to 10 billion dead. Another 10 in the aftermath of environmental disaster.
So just the whole Earth then. Fuck you.
We have to begin evacuation. Use every available ship and transport. We'll need a lottery system and to control public hysteria.
There's only one option left. For planetary defenses. A massive missile launch at Eros.
The odds are good that we'd destroy it. Or at least turn it into a million pebbles.
Whatever biotoxin is inside Eros, can it survive in a vacuum or do we risk scattering it all over the system?
Sadly, there's...
The Protomolecule is gonna fall over Earth. If the Protomolecule is really smart, I'm thinking that this is part of its plan.
There's alien life in the universe. And I'm riding it. Like a tick on a dog.
Hey, don't get all Holden on me. Weird and chatty under pressure.
Yeah. Must be real tough growing up under a blue sky. 8 parents slobbering all over you.
Hey now, wait till you get to know him better. It's got lots of layers.
Docking with Eros ain't gonna be a cakewalk, right? That's a moving target. That station so much as twitches while we're swooping in, they're gonna be sending what's left of us home in a doggy bag.
He's risking his ass down there. How about we do the same up here?
I like everyone's faces. Everyone said, yeah. We're gonna launch them right now?
What was that? Naomi, I didn't catch you.
Miller, I didn't say anything.
Oh boy. Okay then. The Protomolecule is talking to us. That's nice.
Must be going the right way.
What gave it away?
Voices
They're not alive, Miller. They're just echoes of who those people were.
Oh, this is the arcade where we're in at the finale. That's nice. This was like a fun arcade. That's the dead guard.
I think it's leaving the dead alone.
Oh. He's gonna launch him, and then it's gonna turn into a mission of like, Miller, you need to do this before the missiles get there in like half an hour. You know, some shit like that. Whew. Alright. Okay, that's bad.
What's going on out there?
Funny you should ask. Earth just launched half her nuclear arsenal, and I'm guessing they just target locked Eros Station.
We just lost radar lock on Eros.
What,
the
no?
whole damn station just vanished.
What?
Acknowledged, Tycho. It's off our radar too, but it's still right there. We have visual. It's just
not reflecting radar anymore.
So the missiles are not going to be able to target lock on it.
It's becoming.
Spare me the poetics. Just get to the point.
I have no idea. Why would you want to stop it?
They're flying blind, which makes them essentially useless.
Incoming strong message from Fred Johnson on the emergency channel.
Fred Johnson?
We need... Dude, this is an emergency.
Security Council, I have been monitoring this incredible situation on Eros and believe I have a solution. The OPA has a ship in visual range of Eros. that can use its
Yeah, that's what I
laser
thought.
guidance
I just thought I just didn't have to see it.
target for your missiles.
Holden can tell you where it is. Now you're gonna have to trust him or not.
I understand the gravity of the request, but need a response before the window of opportunity.
And everyone's like, what do we do?
This is exactly the kind of opportunity he's been waiting for. He can redirect our missiles at Mars or Earth.
It's just the guidance systems. We still have our abort codes. Besides, why would he? The belt dies without Earth and Mars.
That's true.
He's got blood on his hands. He's a mad terrorist, your words.
I need a moment.
Can you see this OPA ship?
Not in the wake of Eros. It's radar dark too. We'll have to take Fred Johnson's word for it.
Or I could talk to the captain of
His James Holden.
Any message would have to be relayed through Tycho Station.
Open a channel.
Whew. Everything comes together. And this is just a matter of trust, but nobody trusts each other. Oh my god.
Captain.
Oh my god. It's happening.
I appeal to your humanity.
Can't they see who he is? Because they all know James Holden. And now now everyone's gonna know, oh, he's OPA or whatever.
Madam Avasarala, I'm James Holden, captain of the Rocinante. I've seen firsthand the hell that's going on inside Eros, and it mustn't be allowed to reach Earth. Fred Johnson is honorable. Give him access to your missiles and my crew and I will guide them in. There's no time to bargain. We can only choose to trust each other. I pray that we will.
We can't trust this man.
She does, because she talked to his mom.
Holden is neck deep in everything that's happening. He's Fred Johnson's puppet.
We have a rock coming at Earth that is gonna kill dozens of millions, dude. Like, what a situation where we need to do something.
Miller!
Hey, trying to blow my eardrums?
Listen, you need to move your ass in there. Earth's missiles are headed for Eros, and we're painting the bullseye. Don't put us in the really awkward position of having to blow you up.
You know, there was a time.
Not too long ago, I would have been voting for Eros over those missiles.
150 live thermonuclear missiles under your control.
Oh.
I believe that makes you the most powerful man in the system right now.
Oh, really? And go get me a cup of coffee.
I'm starting to think Eros doesn't like being followed or having things pointed at it. Do not lose visual!
We already burning hot as it is. I mean, you want to go flat out, the Rossi can handle it, but you gotta understand, you burn like that, at some point, we're not gonna be around to enjoy the ride.
What's the limit?
I don't know, maybe 15, 20 Gs. We can probably handle that if we're juiced to the gills, but eventually one of those little blood vessels in your brain's gonna go pop.
I'll even give you a ride.
All right.
Good bottle of Ganymede gin.
I don't think Miller's gonna survive this.
All right, Hoss. Eros is moving away. You gotta call it. Chase or cut bait.
Strap in, perhaps max speed.
You got it.
Oh boy. Getting juiced up?
The ship is ramping to a 15G burn to match speed with the target. It will auto-lock on Eros for the missiles. Survivability of the crew is questionable beyond this point.
Yeah, so they know what they're risking.
Going to stay with Eros, even if it kills them.
She's like, those beautiful bastards.
I smiled and grinned when you took that trip to the Sinai battlefront. I put on a good face when you almost died in that transport from Palace. I even
Yes, and that is what I love about you. I know it hasn't even been easy. I know that, and I'm sorry.
Stop it. Stop. You never have to apologize to me.
Sorry. Just know I want to be there with you and help you with that sad little garden.
Why did I marry such a great woman?
You got very lucky.
Okay, Mara, what's up? Ooh, it's forming what looks like a hand. Is it creating beings? It's talking.
Take the Razorback.
What was the Razorback? I know it was a ship. I don't remember which ship. There's so many fucking ships in the show. Is that Julie Mao talking? That would be my guess. We're going faster even? Oh boy.
There goes my spleen.
More juice!
You know those voices I'm hearing? I think this thing is taking the, I don't know, consciousness, some part of whatever it is makes us human. It's eating it. spitting it back out in some other configuration.
Miller, we don't have time for this.
Naomi's heat map. You know where it's leading us? It's leading us right back to the Blue Falcon.
Where we found Julie?
Julie Mao is the heart of it. That's where it's growing. That's where the crystal is. Julie Mao is the crystal.
Her consciousness.
Yeah.
Talking about a part of her that might be a part of this rock. What if she infected the protomolecule back?
Ooh, that's a nice theory.
I keep hearing her talk about the Razorback. I think she thinks she's on it. I think she's controlling this whole thing. She's the seed crystal.
Forget the goddamn missiles. She'll dodge those just like she did the Naru.
I'm pretty sure it will, actually. But like, this is...
Crew is gonna die for nothing. Just back off now.
Like, I think Miller is right, but we're in a situation where, like, what the fuck do we do?
Julie.
Yeah, he's gonna try to communicate with her or something.
You get her to stop this rock.
This is what I'm seeing right now. Miller is gonna become part of the Protomolecule in order to try and communicate with Julie and tell her to stop.
Negotiate with a girl who thinks she's a space station?
When you put it like that, it does sound kind of crazy.
Exactly, I'm gonna shoot you with it, Miller.
Alex, power down.
Really? Sub to Miller to negotiate with Julie? I mean, the connection is there. What is this gonna look like to the rest of the world, though? Miller, you don't fucking fail us.
No time for details, but I'm the one with the boots on the ground. Right now, it's imperative you divert Earth's missiles away from Eros. I'll await confirmation.
The UN's gonna think we're stealing their missiles. Like this whole thing is a ploy. They're gonna nuke Tycho next.
Fred.
There is no way that I'm going along with this.
It's already done. They've cut their speed. The Rossi's targeting laser is off. Eros is gone.
Yeah, so what do we do? Like, that Miller decision is like...
Tell me you know what you're doing, you little shit.
Right. Ooh. Ah. Mm-hmm. There should be dead bodies here. Oh boy, yeah, this looks... Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's see it. The fucking bird. The fucking bird again. They had some fun with the CGI in this episode. Looks really cool, really pretty. I like it. There's her body. It looks like a it looks like a pilot seat. A little bit. Wow, she's sort of alive. Sort of.
Can you hear me? You're on Eros, kid. Eros Station. Not what it used to be. It's a step up, actually.
What happened to me?
She's conscious? She's actually conscious of what's happening.
They left me here all alone. They never came for me.
Listen, Julie, right now, this station...
She's gonna become like a vengeful
This
spirit
rock
now.
is headed for Earth real fast.
I dreamed that I was racing.
Can you deaccelerate a little bit though?
I miss Earth.
I know, kid. You can't go to Earth. A lot of good people are gonna die if we go there. They're the same people you're fighting for. But, we don't have to go to Earth, right?
You're gonna misdirect it.
Why don't we go to Venus? We're headed that way anyway. Go to Venus. Work continues.
Is he gonna choose to blow it up? Or touch it? Yeah, he's gonna touch it, yeah. You're gonna try to convince her.
I came an awful long way to find you. Because I believe in you. You need a guy like me. You need from something.
I don't know, I never met you.
I'm done fighting. I just want to go home.
We can go anywhere else in the whole universe, but we can't go home, honey. Okay? Wherever you go, you're not gonna do it alone. Just hold this for a minute. Don't let go.
Yeah, Miller's gonna embrace it. He's like, alright, I'm staying.
What happens to us now?
I don't know. We die, maybe. Or if we don't die, that'll be interesting.
It would be, wouldn't it? Okay. Beep, beep, beep. Okay. What happens now? The crystal's gonna roll. Just getting a tattoo. Think about the old man. He's going on course to Venus. We did manage to move it. What happens to the missiles though? That's a good question, but... Wow, that felt like there wasn't that much resolution, but that's fine. It's not a season finale; it's a halfway. Even though it's the book finale, we are gonna get more information next episode about what the fuck went down. But we're gonna stipulate. We can for sure stipulate. Okay, all right. So that was Home. That is the wrap up for the first book for The Expanse, if my understanding of it is correct. I have a lot of curiosity about what's gonna be explained to us next episode. Okay, so since next episode is like it's book 2, I would assume, because like, yeah, then I can see next episode having like a time skip. Maybe there won't be. I hope there's not. I just want to see the immediate aftermath. But at the same time, I do kind of want to see it. Okay, so there is immediately something that is like, what's happening? What do we do? And it's the nukes. That is the device that hasn't been resolved yet. It's the nukes that Earth threw and Fred Johnson has. And now we don't know what the fuck we do with them. Miller's plan worked. Okay. That's, Okay, so... we're gonna talk about Miller. Because... Miller is the character that every time he had a death flag, I pointed it out and I was like, this guy's gonna go. This guy's gonna go. 100% gonna go. And given most of those death flags happened way before any of this happened, like all the way back on like season 1, episode like 5, I was like, Miller can die here, I think. Like if any of these characters gonna die, it would be Miller because he's getting too close. And then someone else is going to carry on with his investigation. That was my initial thought. But then as the episode went on and the plot got more convoluted, he still kept getting death flags to the point where previous episode he was already supposed to die and then he didn't. So then we threw him into this episode where it's like, okay, you gotta go into this like solid sneaking mission into the station and blow it up from the inside. Okay, sure. He's not getting away from that. Like, they were talking about, can we save him? Can we rescue him? And I'm like, I don't see how. I don't see how you could do that with the station moving at the speed that it's doing before it blows up in like the 30 seconds before. I don't see how that would happen. So I immediately, when they suggest the idea, I'm like, okay, this is going to be Miller's blaze of glory. He's just going to go in and blow it up from the inside and go away in the most spectacular, like, I saved the universe from... Okay, so by the way, I've had, like, some nitpickers and very literal people in the comments who are like, I saved the universe, and people are like, well, it's not actually the universe, really. It's only the solar system, because you see, we only have this, and it's like, oh my god, shut up. Like, you don't have to take everything that seriously, man. Come on, chill. So, I thought that was what was gonna happen, but then we keep hearing voices, a female voice, and then I'm like, okay, that has to be Julie Mao. And then it's talking about the Razorback, and for a second I was like, which one was the Razorback? Oh my god, we have so many ships. I don't remember which one was that. And then it's like, well, the boys, the female boys, she has to be Julie Mao. And then it's like, yeah, it's 100% Julie Mao. Because then Miller is like, okay, I'm getting to the hotel, the Blue Falcon, I think the name of it was. And I'm like, and he was like, that's where the massive heat source is in. And I'm like, all right, then, that Julie Mao is the core of it all. She is the core of everything, which makes sense because she was she was patient zero. She got the infection and she spread it all the way here. That's crazy to think about because like the protomolecule didn't have anything to latch on to, right? Because Julie Mao turned off the engines of the Anubis, and it was like the only place the protomolecule was in. Well, no, it was also present on Phoebe Station, but then Phoebe Station blew up, so it's just the Anubis. And if Julie Mao hadn't just decided to go to Eros Station in order to survive because they were gonna pick her up or whatever, then what the fuck? Like, it wouldn't have happened. None of this would have happened. So it's like, it's this weird thing of like, it is her fault. It is not something to blame her, because it's like, nobody could foresee this happening, because what the fuck, right? Simultaneously, she just wanted to get out, man. She just trusted that people are gonna pick her up, and she just wanted to survive, and that was it. You know, anyone would have done that. But it is crazy to think about that this one person just went there, and this was the result. This was the end result. She became the problem. I mean, she had a push from Dresden and Jules Pierce Mao. They were like, you know what? Let's make it bigger. Make my monster grow! You know, that shit. It's like, it's not entirely her fault that this is the level at which it reached, you know? Because even then, she also saved the Anubis because she turned the engines off. If she hadn't done that, then the Anubis itself would have been, like... The Anubis itself would have been overtaken by the Protomolecule, and it would have launched itself into, like, a planet and overtaken it, maybe. I wouldn't know. I'm just saying shit now. But... So, Miller successfully intuits that... So, I was thinking that the protomolecule took the consciousness of Julie Mao to some degree, and to some degree that's what happened. But Miller intuits something that I hadn't thought about, which is, what if Julie herself infected the protomolecule with her consciousness? And I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. I hadn't thought about that. And now that you said it, it's canon. Now that you said it, I was like, oh, that has to be it then. So then he goes in, and the moment he said that, I was immediately like, okay, so what's gonna happen is that Miller is just gonna embrace the protomolecule, become part of it alongside Julie Mao, because we have already established that there's nothing he cares more in the world than Julie Mao. For some reason they never met, but still. So he's just gonna embrace it. He's just gonna become part of it alongside her, because if her consciousness remains to some degree, then his will also. And together they're just gonna stop it or something, right? And what they ended up doing is that they changed the trajectory of it to Venice. I think it was Venice. So then we see it at the end of the episode clash into Venice. Okay? And the size of the asteroid itself is massive. They said it was absolutely massive. It was like 3 times the one that killed all the dinosaurs. It was like, it would kill initially 7 to 10 billion people, and another 10 estimated after the whatever, the aftermath of it, you know? So it's like, okay, that's bad. So I'm glad that prediction I had turned true. The fact that Miller just decided to become part of it, because he's just like, Julie's part of it, I want to be with Julie Mao. Fuck it. Because Miller is the most fuck it character there is in the show. And I like that. Miller is the one that is just like, fuck whatever plan we had going on, let's just wing it. Because it's probably the best course of action. Like, Miller is very specific. Because he's like, he has an idea, and he thinks things through to some degree. And he's the one that makes the crazy decisions, but they have a basis of some kind. And I like that. because it's very different to have a character that is just like doing crazy shit just because they were doing crazy shit, or a character that is thinks about things super hard and it wants to do everything in the best way possible. But it was like, okay, I have a plan, I have an idea. Fuck whatever shit we were planning to do, it doesn't matter. I just had this thought, let's just fuck it, let's just go for this one instead. And everyone's like, dude, we have half of the Earth's nuclear missiles on us. We obliterated our bodies trying to keep up with it and point it. And the entire of the UN has, as well as Fred Johnson, has trusted us to be able to point this. And he's like, fuck that shit, they're gonna miss anyway. Okay, hear me out. What if I talk to the ghost of Julie Mao, who is clearly piloting the ship, even though she's not aware that she's doing so? What if I just do that and I just roll persuasion check, and hopefully I'll get a nat 20. And Holden is like, dude, really? And he's like, yes. And for some reason everyone goes, okay, you know what? You do you, Miller. Your plan is clearly better than ours. And it is. Like, that's the crazy shit, is that it is. But like, nobody would have had that thought, made that process, and just decide, okay, we're doing this instead. Nobody would have done that but Miller. Everyone would just kept going with the plan. Everyone would have just kept going with the plan of getting the nuke there, and then they would have gotten there, and they would have been like, oh shit, what's going on? And then they would, we need to blow it up anyway, alright, I'm gone, and it's just whatever, right? I don't think anyone would have actually decided, this is the Julie Mao shit, we're just gonna do that. And just forget about the missiles. Like, I feel like nobody but Miller would have done that. And I like that. Another thing that I really like about this episode is that at the very beginning, it really made me feel that everything was finally connecting in some way. And not to say that the events of what led up to this weren't connected already, but it really made you feel that it's like, oh shit, the Eros station thing is just going in a direct collision course with Earth at like super fucking breaking the rules of physics speed. Okay. Earth is just like, Eros station is coming to fuck us. What do we do? We're just gonna blow it up. We're just gonna nuke it with every nuke we have on the planet. They just shoot all of them at it. Then it becomes invisible. Okay, we can't target it anymore. Fred Johnson realizes that that's happening, and he immediately initiates a transmission to Earth and goes like, okay, listen to me. I know that I am the craziest, most evilest motherfucker in your guys' block, apparently. But follow me on this. We have a ship with direct vision to Eros station, which is the Rosie, and he's like, they have confirmed that they can see it and laser point at it. So what we're gonna do, if you guys want, is that you can contact that ship. You can make a deal where they point that shit at you, so then the missiles can hit. Because they no longer can hit on auto target because it's off the radars. So now you need an actual ship with visual of it to point it for you. And then they contact James Holden. And it becomes this thing of like, it felt like every character was finally interacting with each other in some way. It's kind of what I felt in episode 8, 9, and 10 of season 1. Where finally Miller showed up and he interacted with the Rosie crew, because up until that point it was just several the focus of the story was jumping in between like 3 different points of view, right? And it was just three completely, seemingly unrelated shit going down. And it did pierce everything together, right? Everything did make sense to some degree, and everything did converge to a certain point in terms of the story. But the moment when Miller walked in and just saved their asses of everyone in the Rossi crew, and then they just talked to each other, and he was like, James Holden, shit just seems to follow you, ain't it? And it's like, that moment, it was like, that's the best. Because finally, our two main characters meet. Like, this reminds me of, there's a video game I really like called Yakuza 0. And in that video game, you have two main characters. And both of them have their own main story that is just seemingly completely unrelated from the other. But as you get close to the ending, they converge. It's the same shit. And the thing is that in that game, they never meet. They just cross each other and never meet. The characters that they know meet, but they themselves don't, until the very end. When the game ends, when the credits are rolling, there's one scene when they just walk into each other, and then they just go, hey. And I'm like, yeah! That's what that moment reminded me of, when Miller finally met Holden. In this episode, it was Christian. It was Christian of Azarala. She finally met James Holden across that. They didn't talk, but there was that transmission where Fred Johnson goes like, first of all, Fred Johnson just talked to the UN, just straight up, which is something that really doesn't happen. And then they go like, okay, we're going to talk to that agent. And then they patch the agent through, and it's James Holden. And he's just James Holden's screen on the UN, just going like, UN, hey, this is James Holden. We can confirm that we have visual and we understand that the situation is super dire. And it's like, and in order to subvert, which is the only thing we really all want, it's like we're gonna have to trust each other. And it's like, I can point the lasers if you want me to, and it's just like, this is like very serious transmission of like, I can do it, just let us do it. And that moment in the UN went exactly as I expected, which is everyone was like, James Holden isn't Lee with the OPA. Oh, that makes so much more sense, yeah. And Christian is like, I can trust this man. I feel like I can. Because we had Windmills, that episode in season 1 where she went to meet James Holden's mom. We haven't seen her since. I'm not sure she's ever going to come back. But Christian met her, and Christian, from everything she sees and from everything she heard, she intuited that James Holden is actually not an evil person, probably. She's like, this guy might have a hero complex, which he totally does. But he doesn't strike her as the kind of person that would do some crazy evil shit, or that would become an actual terrorist or whatever. So Christian is like, I feel like I can trust him. I don't know her. I don't know him personally. But from the things that she's heard, she's like, I feel like I can trust this guy. And she ends up vouching for him. While everyone else in the UN just goes like, I don't know if I can trust this guy. And she goes like, no, I feel like I can. Because she actually investigated him already. And she has determined that he's probably not a bad person. And I like that. I like that both came back. And I like that that's what Christian did. And I already mentioned that in the discussion for Windmills. I was like, I like that she's doing this. Because understanding things, to me, is like the core of like anything. Like, I feel like you should always try to understand something before doing anything, taking any action, because the action is just, especially if it's a drastic action, right? So whenever Christian was like trying to understand James Holden, instead of just write him off as just a whatever terrorist, that to me was like so good, because it's like, thank God we have one person on this side that is trying to understand. And that end up becoming the only person that is like on the good side. Well, the only person that is on that side that actually cares. Everyone else is just kind of an asshole or is a puppet. And Christian is the only one that is not a puppet, and she's trying to fight for good. And speaking of that, we had that moment when Aaron Wright just straight up message or just like left a voice call message or whatever on Joe Pierce-Mao, and he was like, "What the actual fuck are you doing? What is happening on our station?" Because Aaron Wright has been covering for Joe Pierce-Mao to do whatever, right? But now that there's an asteroid that is gonna wipe out tens of billions of people coming for Earth, which is the station where he was just doing his science experiment that you allow him to do, at that point you have to be like, what the fuck, man? Which is what he did. And I appreciate that. The thing is that he never actually came clean about it. He never told anyone about the reality of the situation, despite how dire the situation got. So Aaron Wright is an asshole. I mean, we already knew that, right? But now we okay, so whenever things are at the direst, at the direst, is that a word? Whenever things are at the worst point they've ever been, is when you actually get to see the true colors of people. Aaron Wright had an asteroid coming for Earth that was going to wipe out essentially all of Earth's civilization, and only a few would survive out space. He had that, and he didn't give the information he had on the asteroid to anyone. He still didn't say shit. He still covered up for... It's not that he covered up for Joe Pierce-Mao. I think he was covering himself up. Because if he throws Joe Pierce-Mao under the bus, then Joe Pierce-Mao is going to throw Aaron Wright under the bus. Or even like, people are just going to be like, how do you know that? It's like, you know, like, so if one falls, the other falls. But the fact that Aaron Wright was so concerned about his fucking title or whatever, well, I guess his life, because maybe they would execute him or whatever, above the lives of tens of billions of people, the entire planet. The fact that he was concerned about that shit instead of that, I'm just like, boy, you're an asshole. And I already knew that, but now it's worse, you know? Now it's so much worse. But what I want to point out is that Joe Pierce-Mao didn't actually reply to the call that Aaron Wright made. So he just kind of complained and yelled at him over the phone. But Joe Pierce-Mao didn't reply. He didn't reply at all. And in the previous episode, he actually said, you have... What did he say? You have forced me to look into alternatives or something like that. Because if you can't help me, I just need to look into alternatives, something like that. And then the call ended. And then we haven't heard from it since. So, Joe Pierce-Mao clearly is doing something, or has done something. I don't know what else. Here's the other thing, though, is that previous episode, I'm thinking about it now. On previous episode, he said, you forced me to look into alternatives. And Aaron Wright said at one moment, like, you need me. You need my resources. You need someone to look the other way like I've been doing. So you need someone of my caliber, of my power, in order for you to be doing your dumb bullshit that you're doing, right? So if he says, I'm looking into alternatives, what are the alternatives? There's only two. General whatever of Mars, or General whatever of the OPA. Which I guess would be Fred Johnson. But it could be Anderson Dawes. Could be. But I don't think it would be, because I think that the OPA is not that big compared to Earth. So I'm thinking Mars. I'm thinking that Joe Pierce-Mao went looking for allies in Mars to look the other way and to allow him to do the bullshit that he's been doing. So, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Because otherwise, I cannot think of who else he could have asked for assistance other than Aaron Wright for the resources that Aaron has been providing. You know, who else could have been doing that? So, the only answer to me is like, if one superpower refuses to do it or proves incompetent to do it, you have to look the other superpower, right? In order to provide for the same amount of resources that the first one has been doing. So that's what I'm thinking. So they shoot all the missiles. James, Holden, and the Rosa crew are supposed to laser point them into our station. They do until they don't. And I like how they just decided, we're juicing up, we're going into max speed, whatever, to the point that our bodies cannot take the speed anymore. And we're just getting juiced up in order to just like, stay conscious, I guess. I like that they took it that far. But at the end of the day, they give up in order to follow Miller's plan, which is just convince the Protomolecule to not do that, right? Because it was mistakenly going to Earth. And like that's something interesting to follow. It's that the Protomolecule didn't want to blow up Earth. It's just that Julie Mao wanted to go to Earth because she was just like dreaming, and she was like, I want to go home. So, and she was like, I dream I was flying. So she just, whatever's left of her consciousness was just like, I want to go to Earth. I want to fly to Earth. And the asteroid just started doing it. So she has control of it to some degree, which makes sense because it originated from her, right? She was patient zero. So she is the one in control of it. Her consciousness to some degree is in control of it. I like that she's not truly dead. She's just kind of dead. Well, she might be dead now. I don't know that. I actually don't think that, by the way. I want to point that out. Is that, so we have questions that are going to need answering in the future episodes. And it's, okay, is Venus going to become the Protomolecule world? Like, that's immediately what I'm thinking, and that's immediately what it's like. My 95% hard confirm that Venus is just going to become Protomolecule world. We even saw little bits and pieces of like, there's like a hand coming off of a wall, and the hand wasn't fully formed, but it was forming. Like the fingers were forming as we saw them. That to me means the Protomolecule is able to create bodies. So what tells me that it won't be able to just like populate an entire planet of Protomolecule beings? Here comes the better question. Are the Protomolecules beings autonomous? I don't think they will be. I think Protomolecule beings would be part of a shared consciousness. Okay? That's just what I feel is gonna happen. But here's the thing, is that if the shared consciousness is Julie Mao, and maybe now even Miller, then why would it be a threat? Why would it be bad? Because they're not bad people. Their existence is weird. Well, they could be being controlled by the Protomolecule, because Julie did say, like, I'm trying but I can't, or something like that. Like, I can't move, I can't change it or something. Because and Miller was like, keep trying, I know you can do it, you're strong, you're a soldier. And she's like, I don't want to be a soldier anymore, I just want to go home. You know? So maybe the Protomolecule is still trying. It still has its own like agenda. Even though it's like an artificial intelligence, kinda. Why would it have an agenda? But sure. Maybe its agenda is just to grow. And colliding with Earth would be growing, right? So maybe it's one of those things where it's like the Protomolecule is influencing her thoughts, and she thinks they're their own, but not really. And it's just like, it's weird because it's all mixed consciousness and mixed wills. So it's difficult to tell who is in charge or who is doing who. So I think that, yeah, now that I think about it, I think that would be it. But now, let's say Benius becomes Protomolecule world. Everything's Protomolecule. Just everything in it. Just everything. Given there's nothing in Benius. But now there's going to be. Now there's just going to be Dude, I've said Protomolecule World. I didn't actually think about it until right now. What if it's just buildings and bases and people and everything is just blue? Everything is just blue structure and blue people just walking around, and I say walking around, but they don't have to be people. There's no reason for them to be people other than the consciousness of Julie and maybe Miller perceiving themselves as people, so the Protomolecule does the same, trying to mimic them. Maybe. I don't know. Like, we are at the point where whatever the fuck I say doesn't matter, because this is just, everything is up in the air. We don't know. What I do think is that Protomolecule World will happen. Venice is just going to become that. The question is Julie Moss still alive? Is Miller still alive? What does being alive means anymore? So what I think is they're both gonna survive in the sense that they're both gonna still have some degree of consciousness that is still a part of the Protomolecule. Their physical bodies are probably dead. I don't even know if that was Julie Mao's physical body anymore. Let's say that it was. Let's just say that it was. But let's say that they're both dead, but their consciousness still goes on. Maybe not Miller's, because I don't know if Miller was converted in time before. Because here's the other thing, is that they didn't show us the bomb blowing up, right? But I think it must have, because Miller did say, like, hold this for a second, but then he took her hand away. And then they, like, kissed and hugged a little bit. And then we saw, like, a cut into the asteroid heading for Venice and then colliding with Venice. And that was it, right? So I think the bomb must have blown up before it got there. So if that happened, then the consciousness would have had to remain after the bodies die, because somebody must have influenced it to go to Venus instead of Earth after the bomb blew up. Now I'm just assuming a lot of things on that train of thought, so maybe I'll backpedal a little bit, but I think that even if their physical bodies are dead, which I assume they are, their consciousness are going to stay. At least Julie Mao's consciousness, I'm not sure if Miller was converted, but let's say that it was, then his will remain too. I'm not saying that they will still be super important, super real characters. I'm just saying that a fraction of it might still remain. And it might become of importance at like one point, you know? So that's what I'm saying. So I guess that's better than just dying in a blaze of glory. Now you die in a blaze of glory, but you also become part of this super advanced immortal being, and you may have a say in what it's doing. You may have some kind of control over it. Maybe not control, but like influence, you know? So good job, Miller. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking might happen, or is gonna happen. Is that Protomolecule World, Venus is just gonna become Protomolecule World. If this is the case, then everyone's just gonna know. Everyone just has to know what the fuck happens in there. It might take a couple episodes, but everyone should just learn about the Protomolecule at this point. If that is the case, then you can throw Julie Pierce under the bus all you want, as well as Aaron Wright. But they don't matter. Bro, they don't matter. That's what I'm saying. The Protomolecule is its own thing. You can shoot the creator all you want in the head, which Miller already kind of has. But like, even if you do that for Julie Pierce, even if you do that to Aaron Wright, nothing changes because the Protomolecule is already there, bro. So like, I feel like it will get discovered. The secret is gonna be out in the air, maybe. But at that point, it's not gonna matter because the Protomolecule is already a big fucking thing, and it's now a planet. You can't blow it up anymore. I mean, you already kind of couldn't, because we tried. We tried to fucking knock it into the sun, and we couldn't. But that was an asteroid. Now it's a planet. What the fuck do we do about that? The answer is nothing. There's nothing we can do about that. So like, I just realized that. I just realized what the implications of Protomolecule Planet would be. What do we do about that, man? I don't think there's anything to do, to be honest. So yeah. So we talk about the Protomolecule extensively. So like, what my concern is still the missiles. My concern is still the fucking missiles. You know, because it's like, Fred, that motherfucker stole our missiles, Fred Johnson. And it's just going to be more excuse for them to fight each other. Because what do we do about the missile? Literally, what do we do about them? Can we return the missiles somehow? Is that a thing we can do? Like, can we... Do they have a specific amount of fuel that they have until we can just have them just fly in circles for like, I don't know, like a couple weeks until they run out? Hopefully they don't hit each other, and then we can just like, here's your missiles, we didn't use them, it's okay, count them, it's all of them, here you go. Can we do that? Because now I'm concerned, because like, here's the thing, is that miscommunication and everyone at each other's throats and everyone lying, it's like at the slightest thing, everyone's just it's a Mexican standoff, bro. Everyone's just holding each other at gunpoint, and it's like, don't you fucking move, right? And we have this thing of like, Eros Station is heading to Earth and it's gonna wipe out everything. It's like, oh shit, what do we do? How did it even do that? And then Fred Johnson shows up and it's like, hey, I can help you guys. You can trust me. And then you trust him. And then Eros suddenly changes trajectory. It doesn't blow up. Your missiles don't hit it. Your missiles disappear. Then the fucking place moves and it goes to Venus instead, and it hits Venus. And Earth doesn't get hit, but it's like, what happened to the missiles, bro? And it's like, if I was a UN person, I think it would be pretty safe to assume that like Fred Johnson and the OPA somehow made Eros Station move like that like it did, in order to like try and make it look like it was gonna hit Earth. So then you launch your missiles and then we can steal them. Like a really like complicated plan. But if I was part of the UN, I would probably think that. I would probably think that was the plan. That was the play. Because it's like, what the fuck? We didn't hit them with the missiles, and then it just swerved? What? Because they don't know about the Protomolecule, bro. And anyone who doesn't know about the Protomolecule doesn't know what the fuck is happening. People that know about the Protomolecule don't know what the fuck is happening, right? But they just accept it because there's nothing else to do. We just have to accept that it's something beyond our comprehension and move on, right? But like, that's my main concern, because I see conflict already, you know? Like, I already see that this is gonna become a thing, and they're just gonna be like, oh my god, you Fred Johnson, you did this again, you dirty bastard. And it's just gonna be like, well, they're not gonna believe me, whatever the fuck I say, so like. And there's also that thing that was going on of like Fred Johnson helping Avasarala, so it's like, what, you know? So the political drama of things not looking good. I guess we'll see where that whole thing with the Protomolecule goes. I'm excited to see what the fuck happens next episode, because if there is a time skip, I don't know what I would like more, actually. I don't know if I would like more to just see the immediate aftermath or see the time skip. Because I just want people to know things. Because one of the main things that happens in the show is that people just don't know things. Is that people just don't know what we know as the viewer. And that is not fun to see. Like, that is literally just not fun to see. Because it's just like a bunch of drama that happens due to lack or miscommunication. You know, lack of communication or miscommunication. Or just lies, right? And it's frustrating to you as an audience, because it's like, I know what's happening, but it's not moving, even though I know everything. So what the fuck are we doing here? So then you're just left waiting for things for the cat to come out of the bag. And then when it finally does, it's just like, oh my god, took you long enough, you know? That's how it feels like with a lot of these shows. And that's how it has felt with this show a little bit. But if next episode we immediately jump back to conflict of like, where are our missiles? I'm going to be like, oh my fucking god. But I know that that's what's going to happen. I already know. I just wanted everyone to be on fucking... I just want to be everyone... I just want everyone to be on the loop regarding the Protomolecule. And I want fucking Drew Pearson and everyone hanged. And then everyone can just know. Mars might not believe him. Mars can just be fucking whatever. Maybe they don't care. But at least the UN will know. Like, I just want anyone to know besides, or like, the Rosa crew and Miller and Fred Johnson. Because not even the OPA knows. Not even the OPA fully knows what the fuck happened there. They just know, like, oh, they did us Beldor's dirty and Eros Station. It's like, nobody knows. But at the same time, it's like, who would believe? But it's like, we have the proof, bro. Go look at Venus right now. Venus is fucked. It's fucked and it's blue. It's light blue and it's glowy. And it will also grow on you like a mushroom, bro. Like, it's fucked. And we also have the video footage, don't we? You have the video footage that we got from the end of it. So it's like, we have more than enough proof. They are probably still going to be assholes about it. But at the end of the day, right now, we can really just say, go look at Venus. Don't set foot on Venus, but go look at it. You know? It's like, oh my god, okay. So, bro, I don't know where this is going. I mean, if I would have to assume, it would be the things that I already said. It's like the Protomolecule planet, which is Venus. Julie will have some kind of consciousness with it. Some kind of influence, but maybe not the main consciousness of it, just some influence. Miller might have it too. I am content with the way Miller went out, because I was already expecting him to go out for a while. In the previous episode, I was like, oh, you're dead now. Okay, cool. And then he wasn't. So this episode was really an extra. It was just like, okay, Miller, you're not dead, but we're gonna need you to go and die real quick for us. And he's like, got it. Like, I'm already in borrowed time. Fuck it, I'm gone. You know? So he did that whole mission, and he finally got to at least talk to Julie Mao a little bit, you know? I feel like there's a little bit of, like, forced romance with that. Which is, like, it's like, whatever. Because it's like, you never met her, dude. Like, there was that one moment where Miller said... What did he say? He said something like, you think a guy like me would ever care about anything? Like, you made me care. And you think a guy like me, it's easy for me to care about something? And my immediate response to that was like, she doesn't know. She never met you. Like, you never met each other. But I feel like I need to point out the fact that I can't even say that with confidence. I really can't even say that. Because we continuously saw that Julie, when she was dying, she saw Miller, and then we saw Miller see Julie multiple times since like episode 10, right? So I'm like, is there some kind of weird connection in between the two of you? And I already said that. I said that so many times. I'm tired of talking about it. At the point that previous episode happened and I didn't even mention it, I was like, yeah, it happened again. So now I'm like, did that ever meant anything? Or was it just like I want to say poetic, but not really. It's not poetic, but it's like, is it just for like, just to like, oh, they're connected. There's something to them, you know? They care, something like that. But I'm just trying to think of it like are they just hallucinating and seeing them? Or not even hallucinating, but just as a conduit to show the audience that they're thinking about that person, you know? Or like they look into whatever place and they see that person just because they're so fixated on that person? Or is it literally just they're seeing them? And it's like there is an actual explanation in canon for that? Other than just like, oh, they're thinking about them. I don't know. I still haven't got an answer. And I feel like I should have gotten an answer in this episode because of the way it ended, and it didn't. So now I'm just like, what the actual fuck, right? Regarding that. So I'm just going to stop talking about that until the show tells me, because I feel like we moved past the point where it should have. So now I'm like, that didn't mean anything. Or if it meant anything, the show's going to tell me, but there's no point in dwelling into it. So, fuck it, right? Bro, I want to know what will happen next. I want to know what we'll see next episode. I don't think a lot will happen, but I want to see what happened to the world. You know, I say world, the solar system. I want to know what happened to like every character that matter in the show. I want to see what they think about this whole situation. I want to know what the Rosa thinks. I want to know what Avasarala and the UN say about this. I want to know what Fred Johnson say about that, you know. I want to know what everyone says, right, essentially. I feel like something that I can point out before we finish is that in this episode we did have Miller talk to the Rosie crew in like a much warmer manner, because it was essentially a suicide mission, and they all knew that. So they were like more honest with each other and more appreciative of each other, which was nice to see, because like we had Holden and Miller just like hate each other for a while. Well, Holden mostly. Miller kind of doesn't care, but like Holden was like, "You shot that guy. You're not lawful good," and Miller was like, "I mean." By the way, so I mentioned in the previous episode, like, if anyone can tell me if Holden is lawful good. Okay, so recording died for like a second. Low disk space. Anyway, yeah, I feel like what we can wrap up on is that it's the relationship that Miller had with the Rosa crew, like near in the end. You know, they were talking about getting a drink or like a Holden bottle, or like there was a moment where Naomi is like, "You're a little bit like Holden," you know, and then they were like, "Nah, we're nothing alike." And then she's like, "Well, you have to know, you have to get to know him better. He has layers, you know." And it's like the whole time they were talking to each other, and it was like much more friendlier than it has been. But it's because everyone knows that it's like, okay, Miller's probably gonna die here, so now we can actually appreciate him for what it is. And I think it's really good, because like 2 episodes ago, Holden was so pissed at Miller. So pissed. And it's just because, like, I'm lawful good and you're not lawful good. Fuck you, you know? Just like, you shot that guy, fuck you, you go against my code, I hate you. And it's like, calm down, man. Like, calm the fuck down, right? And now we can finally, they finally, like, buddied up a little bit, you know? And I enjoy that. I like that very much. By the way, so so in like previous episode, I actually asked if somebody can tell me if Holden is originally a lawful good character in his character sheet from the original RPG before the novels. Like, if that information is available, if someone can just confirm to me if he was. And in episode 3, the episode that just aired on YouTube, I actually asked, hey, well, I didn't ask if somebody knows, but I did mention that he was like lawful good, just like a throwaway thing. And someone has confirmed me that, yes, he was actually originally on the RPG lawful good. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like 100%. It's very character defining. So my next question is, well, maybe somebody answered this already, but it's like, I want to know if the character alignments for every character in the show are available and out there for people to just know, and if they can tell me which is the alignment for every character. I guess I could try and decipher on my own, but like, I'm lazy, man. I guess I could try and do it. From like previous episode and onwards, from this point on, I'm just gonna start referring to everything in like D&D terms sometimes. I'm just gonna be like, because even previous episode, I was like, roll charisma check, failed. Alright, they're dead. You know, it's like, because like, I feel like if you look at something through the adventures, through the eyes of like, oh, this is an adventure of a D&D party, I'm like, okay, now this makes a lot more sense, you know? And I understand that that was the original intent, and then it became a book, a novel. And of course that at that point, it becomes more dramatized and more story heavy. And when you turn it into a show, it's like even more so. But the core is still there. And I can still like grasp it a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. This makes a lot of sense now, and I like it. You know? So yeah, I'm just gonna refer to everything as D&D terms now. Like, I'm just gonna think of tabletop and D&D every time I look at these characters. So I would like to know what is everyone's alignment. Like, Amos would it be neutral? Yeah, would it be true neutral? Okay, because we would have lawful, true, or chaotic, okay? Okay, fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's just do this shit. Let's just Google lawful neutral, true neutral, and chaotic neutral. I don't think he's chaotic, because he doesn't necessarily go out of his way to be chaotic. He just doesn't give a shit. Lawful neutral is someone that just follows the rules or some kind of code, but he doesn't care about what's good or bad. He just does it, right? Yeah, not that. True neutral. A neutral character does what seems to be a good idea, doesn't feel strongly one way or the other when it comes to good or evil or versus chaos. Well, I mean, that's the definition, right? Most neutral characters exhibit a lack of conviction or bias rather than a commitment to neutrality. Such a character thinks of good as better than evil, after all, so it would have good neighbors and rulers than evil ones. Still not personally committed to upholding good in any abstract or universal way. Yeah, that sounds okay. Some other neutral characters commit themselves to like a philosophical neutrality. Amos doesn't. But like, I think he just doesn't care. Yeah. Yeah. I think Amos would be a true neutral. He's not lawful, he's not chaotic, but he's also not good or evil. He just doesn't give a shit. A chaotic neutral character follows his whims. Yeah, that's it. That's not him. Okay, so Amos would be a true neutral character, if I would have to guess. Holden would be lawful good. Naomi would probably be neutral good. Alex would probably be neutral good as well. Miller. Let me Google chaotic good. He does whatever the fuck he wants, but he's kind of unbenevolent. He believes in goodness and right, but has little use for laws and regulations. While creatures of this alignment view freedom and randomness of action as ultimate truths, they likewise place value on life and the welfare of each individual. Respect for individualism is also great. So, here's the thing though. Miller usually pushes for something that is for like a good cause of some kind. I would not describe him as like a benevolent or kind person. So, I think neutral. I think Miller would be chaotic neutral. Okay, so that's the alignment for 5 characters. Okay, or like quote unquote main characters. There's others we can do like Fred Johnson or something like that. But like, okay, James Holden, lawful good. Naomi Nagata, neutral good. Alex, I don't know his last name. I'm sorry, Alex. You're cool. Neutral good. Amos, whatever his last name is, true neutral. And Miller would be chaotic neutral, okay? Because I feel like Miller is not necessarily ever trying to do good. He just does whatever the fuck he wants. But he would rather have a situation that is chill rather than a situation that is not, right? And like he even says here, like there's little things that he cares about, but he didn't manage to care about Julie Mao. So everything he does is usually because he was thinking about her, you know, like, or thinking about the things that it's difficult, but I will say chaotic neutral. Like, I'm doubting myself, but I will say chaotic neutral. Okay. So yeah, that's my non-official guess list of 5 characters of the Expanse and what their D&D character alignment charts are. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully that was correct. People can let me know. But yeah. I think that's it for this episode. I think I mentioned most things. Maybe I'm missing something, but whatever. If I remember, I'll bring it up next episode. But yeah, that was The Expanse Season 2, Episode 5. Thanks for being here. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this reaction to The Expanse. If you would like to see next one, maybe already, is up on Patreon as well as full length. Check out the links in the description, and I will see you next time, okay? Take care.